Alrighty, so welcome everybody. This is the Study Abroad breakout session for Open House. My name is Brooke Layhee and I'm the coordinator of Study Away here at SUNY Plattsburgh. Today I'm joined by Ellen Miller, our graduate assistant, and we make up the Study Away team here at Plattsburgh. We're super excited to have you joining us today and to learn a little bit more about study abroad and what opportunities you would have here if you were to come to Plattsburgh. So I'll have Ellen put into the chat a Google form. So if you'd like to fill this out now or at the end of the presentation, we will be sure to stay in touch with you and reach out if you have any questions. And it's a great way just to kind of learn a little bit more beyond what we'll cover today. Alrighty, so why should you study abroad? There are so many different reasons, and as we get going, we want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you do want to pop into the chat and put where you'd like to study away, or where you're thinking you might want to study away, we'd love to hear that, and maybe also what you plan to study while here at Plattsburgh. So whether it's your major or if you're undecided, undeclared, that's okay too. That helps us just know a little bit more about you and what you're thinking. So different reasons as to why you should study abroad. Learning a new language. So if you're thinking that you might want to study language, or it piques your interest, or it's something you're doing right now in high school and want to continue that, this is a great way to learn a new language. You can study in another country and be immersed in that language. We have homestay options, which is a great opportunity for students where they get to live with another family and really immerse yourself into that culture and really try to develop those language skills. Making connections. So we talk a lot about at Plattsburgh making connections and how a lot of who you connect with during your time here will help you in the future and your career goals. So when studying abroad, you have the opportunity to meet new faculty, new professors, the folks that are going to welcome you and orient you to campus, as well as other students. I studied abroad about 5 years ago, and I'm still in touch with my friends that I made while I was there. We recently had a 5-year reunion, and I got to hear all about what they're currently doing now and how study abroad has impacted them. And it's a great way to reach out if I need anyone. A friend works for the British government in Canada. So like she's a really good connection if I have any questions like visa-wise or things like that. So gaining valuable cultural experience. So we talk a lot about our students on campus becoming global citizens. So allowing yourself to do this kind of exchange, whether it be in the US or globally, you'll learn a lot about other people beyond yourselves or beyond the community that you're used to. Developing creative problem solving skills. So studying away might be your first time getting on a plane. You might have to navigate a train system in another language. You might also have to apply for a passport or a visa, or what if your flight gets canceled and having to reschedule. So all these different things that you might learn through study away that you wouldn't learn in the classroom here at Plattsburgh. And then lastly, boosting your resume. So we help our alumni when they come back. We do lots of information sessions and workshops with our Career Development Center. We encourage you to put this on your resume, to use it in interviews with future employers or future internships, as it can really help you, get a leg up in comparison to your peers who may have not studied away. Alrighty, so whether you're an experienced travel or, new to traveling, we definitely have a program for you. So we'll definitely tell you all about what options you have, and let you see all the opportunities that SUNY has on offer for you. So what are your program options? As a SUNY student, so not only a Plattsburgh student, but as a student through the SUNY system, you do have the opportunity to study on any SUNY program. There's lots of different types of programs, anywhere from 10 days on a faculty-led trip where you might study with other peers and with a faculty member and travel around a country or two, and then do your class before you leave or while you're away. Or a true, typical study abroad where you study for a full semester or a full academic year at another university. Right now we have programs in over 70 countries, almost about 500 programs in SUNY. As I mentioned, you can study. So the typical take classes towards your degree in another country, sitting in a classroom as you typically would, just somewhere else. We have internship options, so you could do a full-time internship for the semester or a summer or a winter term. Or we have also some fieldwork opportunities. So if you're interested in like humanities or, archaeology digs or things like that, there's a lot of different fieldwork opportunities as well. This link here, this is presentation will be available to you afterwards, but this link is the suny.edu/study abroad website. It's a great starting point for you to kind of see what is available. So if you were to say, I want to see all the programs in, I don't know, Costa Rica, for example, you'd be able to see here, and then you could click on this and get information from each SUNY school where they have programs. I do tell students this is a great starting point, but it's not inclusive of everything that's out there. So you always want to meet with us or check out the individual SUNY website that the program belongs to. So if it's Oswego or Cortland or Stony Brook, you'd want to go to their website as well. So now a little bit about Plattsburgh programs. Of course, we have Plattsburgh that are specific to programs that are specific to Plattsburgh. Right now, we have about 15 or 16 different programs. I'll go through and kind of just let you know, where each program, what kind of study we have. But if you haven't, if you want to, you can pop into the chat and let us know what you're planning on studying or where you want to go. And that might help drive the conversation and what I chat about. But either way, in Spain, we have a language and culture program, as well as a business program in Bilbao. We have 4 programs in the United Kingdom. All 4 are in England. One of them is has a summer program, and then all 4 also have a full semester length program. I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but they are exchange programs, which means they're really affordable and very similar to a cost that you pay to Plattsburgh. And our exchange programs are specific to Plattsburgh students. So if you're considering other universities, some of our exchange programs wouldn't be available to you if you were to study at another SUNY school. In France, and the UK, very comprehensive. So no matter what you're looking to study, we most likely can find you coursework there. Also taught in English, so you don't have that language barrier. In France, we have a exchange program with a business school, all taught in English, but you do have the opportunity to do language and culture courses as well. Semester at Sea, I'm not sure if you are familiar with this or have heard of it, but it's gaining a lot of popularity and traction. It's a brand new partnership for Plattsburgh. If you're not familiar, this is the opportunity to study on a ship for the semester. You would sail to about 10 or 15 different ports, 8 or 10 different countries, where you would, dock for about 4 to 6 days. And this is a great way, to see a lot of the world and in about, just over 100 days. You're taking your classes while you're on board and getting to really build a community with your peers that are there. So it's a really, really cool and unique opportunity. And then you get to do lots of excursions and traveling while you're traveling and sailing the world. In Canada, we have a French language immersion program as well. We're also part of the Killam Fellowship Program, which is an opportunity to exchange at one of 20 different universities in Canada. Most are English speaking. There are a few that, are French speaking, but otherwise it would be a good exchange for probably anybody in what they're studying. In Australia, we have 4 universities. One is a business school. You'll see a business pattern. So if there is a business major out there, great opportunities. And then the other 3 schools are very comprehensive. We have a school that's really big, over 50,000 students in Sydney. And then we have a school on the Gold Coast, right on the beach, maybe just over 10,000 students, so a bit smaller. So no matter what you're looking for, there is something available for you. In Japan and China, these are both really affordable programs focused on business. In Japan, we also have a open studies in English track, which is great for maybe people studying political science or history, or looking to do some humanities and gen ed courses. So some of what I'm saying might not make total sense right now as you're not in university yet, but lots of great opportunities no matter what you're kind of looking for and what you're planning to study. And our biggest piece of advice to students is to plan ahead. So we want to hear from you, even if that means today or when you join us here at Plattsburgh. This link would bring you to our Plattsburgh website for our study abroad program. So you can definitely take some time after today and after this presentation to look around and see what's available. There's a lot of great information. This is specific to the Australia programs, but if you go back out to our study abroad main page, there's lots of information for parents, students, once you're accepted, some profiles on our mentors and things like that. Alrighty. So moving on, I'd like to talk about another experience that is really specific to Plattsburgh. We're one of 5 SUNY schools that have participate in the National Student Exchange Program, which I'll talk more about in just a minute, but I just want to play this 1-minute video for everybody so you can get an idea of what it would look like if you were to do NSE. Alrighty, well, thanks for watching. So that is just a little teaser of what's available to you on National Student Exchange. So NSE, as we more often call it, is the opportunity to study away within the US or the territories or Canada. So Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, and then Canada also participate. What's really nice about this program is it's really affordable. You get to go for the, the same tuition that you currently pay or would currently pay to Plattsburgh. So if you're an in-state student, you get to go out of state for an in-state price. So you'd get to go to California, Texas, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Guam, which it's usually pretty affordable. You'll have to pay your housing and food costs to your campus. So that could also be different, and considering the cost of living in other areas of the country is always important. But students really like this. It's a great way to either check out graduate schools for after you've, graduated from Plattsburgh. Maybe you think you want to live out in Washington one day or in California. You could do that for a semester before making that actual commitment and move. It's also a good stepping stone if you're thinking you don't necessarily want to study abroad yet. It's a great way to kind of put your feelers out and do something and live somewhere else. It's also really easy to find coursework, usually on NSE. So if you are studying maybe something that's a little more rigorous, once you get to your 300 or 400 level biology or business courses, that might be a little more difficult to find abroad, but within NSE, we should be able to find that for you. So that is another option for you. If there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Ellen is there and waiting to answer any of your questions that you may have. So it's always important when thinking about what experiences you'll have here at Plattsburgh, what the investment is and what your return on investment is and budgeting for those. So here we do our best to make these opportunities as affordable as possible. So we do offer exchange programs, as I mentioned, in England, France, Japan, China's really affordable, and then the NSE program. They're all super affordable programs that are very similar to a cost here at Plattsburgh. Beyond that, we also have additional scholarships in our office. So we offer up to $5,000 worth of scholarships a semester. And we do save those for Plattsburgh students on Plattsburgh programs. So if you're to come to Plattsburgh, those would be available to you if you're to attend one of our programs. Beyond that, financial aid should apply for you. So if you do receive aid, you have a nice aid package. As long as you're still meeting those requirements, that should travel with you as well. So if you're curious if we've piqued some interest for you, we do have social media channels for you to like and follow. And we do have recently added Snapchat to our portfolio, but right now with the lack of students abroad due to COVID, we do have some of our past Snapchat takeovers saved in our highlight reel of our Instagram. So you can definitely check that out and see what it was like for some of our most recent students to study abroad. So a little bit more, I always like to wrap in some of our current students who have recently gone abroad. If we were in person today, they would be with me tabling and we'd get to chat with you and you'd get to hear straight from them what their experience looks like. This is Olivia and Leah. Olivia was in the business program here at Plattsburgh. She's recently just graduated. She talks a lot about having these critical skills that really helped her in her career path. She was able to land an internship the summer after studying abroad, and she felt like her interview, they talked a lot about her study abroad experience. So she really felt like it impacted her career and her mobility there. Leah is in our 5-year BAMST program. She's in her last year now as a graduate student, but she did study away during her sophomore year. For anybody that might be studying education, spring semester, sophomore year is your target semester to go. And she went through SUNY Brockport. So this is an example of not having to go through a Plattsburgh program. And she talks a lot about it being the best decision of her life. And she is currently actually applying to the Australia Student Teaching Program through SUNY Cortland, who we've recently partnered with. So students can do a full teaching placement in Australia over the summer. It's a 13-week program. So she's super excited to be applying for that. So if you're interested, these would kind of be the next steps for you. You're not on campus with us yet, but we're definitely still here to support you and answer any questions that you have. As I mentioned before, planning ahead is the best thing that you can do for yourself, even if you don't think you'd want to go until your 3rd year, it's nice to plan it out in your 1st year so you have your courses in sequence and you know exactly what you're going to do. So we can help you look for programs, help you with financial things. What you'll need to apply are things like a study statement, recommendations. So I often recommend students that even though you'll just be coming to Plattsburgh, you do want to make those connections like we're talking about, because you're going to need 2 recommendations, either from a professor, an academic advisor, a department chair. So being able to ask for those and making those connections right away is important. If you don't have a passport already, we'd recommend even looking into that now. They're good for 10 years. So that's something you could consider. Maybe a nice birthday gift or something like that. And then post-decision, we're here through the entire process with you. And then when you return, before you go, we do a big pre-departure orientation. So we help you think about what to pack, like the fun stuff like that. But we also talk about health and safety while abroad, how to plan for an emergency, what's 911 in another country, how do you use your health insurance. So we'll help you through all of those things. One step leads to the next. So don't let this overwhelm you. It definitely happens over a long process. So with that, I have Ellen with me today. So I'd love to give her the floor and let her speak to you a bit about her time abroad and how it's impacted her and how it's led her to where she is now. So I'll turn it over to Ellen. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat.
Hello. Thank you, Brooke. So yeah, my name is Ellen, as mentioned earlier. I currently do work in geo as the grad assistant, but I did do my undergrad at Plattsburgh as well. I was a communication studies major, and I studied abroad the 2nd semester of my sophomore year at one of our exchange partners, the University of East Anglia in the United Kingdom. So it was quite affordable because of that exchange partnership, and I definitely had the on-campus support of geo, which was really cool. And I was also a scholarship recipient, so that was definitely very helpful in helping me buy my flight and helping me towards my travel expenses. So that was really cool. But the main thing that comes to mind when people are like, "Oh, you studied abroad. Can you tell me about it? What was it like?" So that list of why should you study abroad or what can you get out of it that Brooke mentioned at the presentation, at the beginning of the presentation, I was able to kind of reap all of those benefits, but there were two in particular that were super important to me. The first was travel. It was definitely something that was on my priority because I'm from the North Country and it's quite small here. So I had that big opportunity to travel around the United Kingdom and see the different coasts of Ireland, which was really cool. Um, but I think definitely the most important part was the connections I made. So there's a heavy emphasis on that for me because I was able to meet my best friends overseas, and they're all Brightons, so they're all British natives. They're from the area, which was really cool. They had really cool accents, and they thought that I had a really cool accent because I was one of the first Americans they'd ever met in their life. So that was a pretty awesome, like, cross-cultural exchange moment. And one of my best friends, Anna, so she's 5 hours ahead of me because she's still located in that time zone. So sometimes I'll text her and it's like 3 a.m. her time, and she's like, "Ellen, oh my God, what are you doing? I'm sleeping. It's really nice to hear from you, but also I'm sleeping." But that's just kind of one of those things where we still keep in touch 2.5 years later. And we always say how we're going to fly each other across the ocean, like when we get married and stuff like that, to be in each other's weddings. So you definitely, for me and for other people, they definitely find those lifelong connections and friendships, and they're quite meaningful. And I know that without my experience, wouldn't I of course wouldn't have met my best friend. And yeah, the interactions for me were super important because it was my first time out of my comfort zone. It was the first time truly out of North Country, New York. So that was definitely a big deal for me. And it also led me to my current career path. So that was really cool. But I guess that just that for me, my experience was kind of the catalyst to get me to where I am now, which is kind of cheesy and cliche. But I do tell students that what you hear are cliches for a reason because they definitely are. What happens overseas is definitely something that does change your life. And I hope that you're able to take advantage of this opportunity and experience it as well. Thank you for tuning into our session.
Thank you, Ellen. So yeah, that is what we have for you all. If you do have any questions, we'll hang around for another couple minutes. So please feel free to put those into the chat. Otherwise, definitely fill out that Google form so we can connect with you later after this presentation. And it'll also be available. The admissions office will send it out as well. So thank you so much for joining. We will be here for a couple more minutes.